Rubliovka, outskirts of Moscow. Dom Volka, the heart of the Red Mafia. The atmosphere is heavy, almost ceremonial. Sergei Volkov, the pecan of the Bratva Volkov, known simply as Big Boss, sits comfortably as Mr. Vitaly Sokolov stands before him. Too stiff, too aware of where he is. The boss calmly recites Sokolov's resume like a bedtime story. 54 years old, Major General, Special Investigations under the Ministry of Internal Affairs. High-profile cases, political figures, business elites. Every word lands like a quiet warning. He casually brings up the 2012 financial scandal, noting how Sokolov's career advanced right after it. Then comes the real bite. Didn't several of their people go to prison because of that case? Someone beside the boss confirms it. Quite a few. The boss chuckles, almost fondly. It's hard not to notice the implication. We made you. Sokolov stammers, already drowning. The boss abruptly changes direction, flipping through Sokolov's personal details. Leningrad. Sokolov freezes, then nervously confirms it. The boss smiles. His wife is from there too. What a coincidence. Almost family. The camera lingers on Sergei Volkov as his full title is revealed. Pecan of the Wolf Brotherhood. Big Boss. He remarks idly that women from Leningrad are famous for their beauty. His aide corrects him. St. Petersburg. Who even calls it Leningrad anymore? Sokolov laughs too quickly, agreeing far too eagerly. His nerves are showing. The boss's tone snaps cold. Don't get carried away. The room darkens as Volkov locks eyes with him. A file hits the table. Sokolov flinches. What is this? Inside, photographs. Sokolov with other women. Multiple angles, multiple locations. His entire secret life, neatly catalogued. The boss speaks from behind him, unhurried. They're the only ones with the originals. Stolen from an anonymous source. Sokolov's voice cracks. What do you want? The boss sounds almost amused. He wants nothing. He already has money beyond measure. Vaults overflowing. Instead, he offers help. This problem will disappear quietly. A gesture of friendship between the Bratva and the Sea Commissioner. Sokolov blinks. Commissioner. Ah, wrong order. An official notice will arrive in a few days. Congratulations. From this moment on, Vitaly Sokolov is the new commissioner of police. His face goes blank. Shock overrides fear. Once Sokolov is gone, the aide voices concern. The man is an idiot. Far too stupid for the commissioner's chair. The boss agrees, and that's exactly why he chose him. A coward is easy to control. A short leash is all he needs. The conversation shifts. The boss mentions heading to the vault to secure documents. Then, almost as an afterthought, he notes that Sofia has been nagging him to visit Boris. A family photo appears as he speaks. For a moment, the crime lord sounds like an ordinary husband. The aide sighs. He'll never understand that family. The image cuts to Boris grim, intimidating, casually cutting into a wound with an axe. The aide mutters that Boris doesn't exactly look child-friendly. Back with the boss. He asks quietly if the aide remembers what he mentioned last time. Retirement. This time, he's serious. He's done. The aide shuts it down immediately. Impossible. There's no one in Volkov who can replace him. The boss waves it off. Enough with the flattery. Then, softer now, he gives a simple reminder. Don't forget their daughter's birthday. After all, you're her godfather. A dim bar somewhere in Moscow. Low voices trade rumors over drinks. Word on the street is spreading fast. The big boss of the Bratva Volkov was attacked. He survived, sure, but people say he's barely alive. A breathing corpse. Someone at the table wonders what happens next. Is this the end of Volkov? The answer comes cold and certain, no. The ones who are finished are the idiots who caused this mess. The scene lingers on a man with a bandaged eye, his hand trembling slightly around his glass. The door to the bar opens. A voice in the background speaks almost like a warning. Everyone's heard the story, right? The tale of the hound that guards the pecan's vault. Silence crashes down. As the newcomer steps inside, patrons quietly stand up and leave, one by one, until only the bandaged man remains. The stranger sits beside him, calm as death. Bourbon, he says. The bartender hesitates, then asks the question everyone's afraid to say out loud. Is the big boss recovering? The man answers without emotion. Sergei's gotten old, but he's not sloppy. He's not the kind of man who'd fall for a cheap ambush. They found traces in the vehicle. Amateur work. From start to finish. As he speaks, his gaze drifts to the bandaged man beside him, inside a car. A quieter world. Sergei Volkov sits deep in thought. Yelena notices immediately. What's weighing on his mind? It's Sofia. He wonders aloud if she's too young to be holding something like that. Yelena brushes it off. At least Sofia won't grow up getting hurt the way Sergei did. And besides, she takes after her mother more than him. Sergei mutters that might be a problem too. Yelena gently wakes Sofia. They've arrived. Sergei asks to let her sleep a little longer. There's something he wants to talk about. He tells Yelena he's planning to retire. She doesn't even blink. From which side? Sergei answers dryly, the side she hates. Yelena laughs it off. She's heard this before. An apology. One last job. Always the same. But Sergei insists. He's serious. He's prepared for years. He's even chosen a successor. This time, it's really over. Yelena refuses to hope. Then she admits her greatest fear. When Sofia starts school and asks what to write for her father's occupation, Sergei answers without missing a beat. Unemployed. Yelena asks if he's spoken to Romanov. He'd be disappointed. Sergei admits the truth. Romanov was the one who encouraged him to retire. Told him to think about Sofia. Yelena smiles softly. Tough exterior, soft heart. Yelena mentions that Sofia likes Uncle Romanov too. Sergei reacts instantly. Since when did they get so close? He leans in, teasing, their lips almost touching. Then, Sofia wakes up. She looks at them, confused. What are you two doing? Yelena panics. Sergei opens the car door and steps out, leaving mother and daughter behind. For a brief moment, everything feels normal. And that's what makes what comes next so dangerous. Sergei leans against the car, cigarette burning low between his fingers. He exhales and mutters to himself, "Yeah, it'll be fine." Right, Romanov. Then he turns. 3 masked men, guns already raised. Shots explode. Sergei dives behind the car just as a bullet hits a fire extinguisher. Smoke and chemical fog erupt, swallowing the scene. One of the attackers panics, yelling for someone to check if Sergei's down. From inside the car, Yelena screams his name. Sergei shouts back through the chaos, "He's okay." She needs to take Sofia and hide under the seat. One masked man moves toward the front wheel, gun ready. Too late. Sergei bursts out from below, smashing the man's gun hand, crushing his throat, and slamming him headfirst into the sharp metal cross on the car. Another attacker charges with a knife. Sergei locks his wrist mid-strike. A third gun comes up. Sergei yanks the knife man in front of him. Bullets tear through flesh that isn't his. Inside the car, Yelena watches, frozen. Sofia clutches her, trembling. "Mommy?" Yelena hushes her, barely breathing. Through the side glass, a masked man notices them. There was a woman too. Before the thought can finish, Sergei's hand snaps into view, striking the knife man's neck hard enough to drop him. Sergei snarls. He hates Gopniks most of all. No one ever taught them. It's rude to sneak up from behind. He opens the car door, voice shifting instantly. "Are you okay, Yelena?" She grabs Sofia, shaking, and screams at him to retire already. This isn't a life for a child. Sergei laughs weakly, apologizing. This really is the last. The sentence never finishes. A gunshot cracks. Yelena's head snaps back. She collapses. Sergei freezes. The world caves in. Then another bullet tears into his shoulder from behind. A calm, mocking voice speaks. The big boss of Bratva Volkov doesn't even turn around when shot from behind. He should have dodged instead of worrying about the woman. Why is he acting so unlike himself? Sergei looks down at Sofia, still clutching her mother's lifeless body. Sergei roars, raw and broken. Why? Why shoot her? The mysterious man answers without emotion. Same old story. Empty pockets don't offer interesting explanations. Don't dress greed up as something noble. He turns his back on Sergei. His subordinates raise their guns. Sleep well, Wolf. The scene cuts hard to a clothing shop. Ordinary people. Ordinary noise. Then the lights dim. A man enters. Everyone lowers their heads as he walks past, straight toward the counselor. The counselor speaks quietly. The big boss is inside. He's been waiting. The counselor is introduced. Viktor Mikhailov, Sovetnik of the Bratva Volkov. Someone whispers, asking who that man is. A killer? Viktor shakes his head. That man isn't like the others. He's Diavol. A devil. The scene shifts underground. Boris walks through the basement as Anton Zaitsev speaks. A surgical specialist for the unauthorized medical team White Coat, Anton explains grimly. He doesn't know who the attackers were, but they were determined. Bones pierced, muscles torn apart, abdomen hit within centimeters of fatal. 2 shots to the face, the worst of it. The lower jaw shattered, painstakingly reconstructed. The only reason he's alive? His brain is intact. The wolf didn't die. He was reforged. The surgery room is silent except for machines. Sergei lies broken, barely holding on. Anton Zaitsev stands beside Boris and speaks carefully. Sergei needs absolute rest. But, since he specifically asked to be awakened if Boris arrived, Anton will give him 3 minutes, no more. Boris nods. As Anton steps back, Boris promises quietly that Bratva Volkov will remember Belie Kalat and Anton Zaitsev. Anton lowers his head. Respect earned in blood. Sergei's eyes slowly open. Terror, pain, and grief swirl together. Everything is blurry, including Boris. Boris speaks first, dry as ever. Sergei's retirement plans were certainly ambitious. Sergei reaches out. His hand trembles. Boris takes it. Since Sergei can't speak, Boris asks if he can write instead. With his finger, Sergei scratches words into Boris's palm. Yelena is dead. Boris doesn't flinch. He asks one question. How far should I go? Sergei writes again, harder this time. To the end. Boris confirms the meaning. No need to watch his back, no limits. Can he kill everyone, no matter who they are? This path has no return. Any regrets? Sergei's fingers tighten on the bed. Tears stream from his eyes. Not sorrow alone, but pure, burning rage. That's the answer. Boris bows his head slightly. The big boss's orders are received. His title follows like a verdict. Boris Romanov Ovcharka of Bratva Volkov, alias Diavol, the devil. The scene snaps back to the present. Boris sits at the bar, wine in hand, finishing his story. That's why he's been hunting down those amateurs, especially the one who left a very clear trail. He orders another bourbon. No glass needed. Just pour it in. He slides the wine cup toward the man with the bandaged eye. Boris tells him the drink's on him. Inside the cup, the metal cross that pierced the man's eye. The man stares, horror freezing his face. Boris adds calmly that he should take it too. If you drop something, you pick it up. The man snaps, pulling a knife, screaming that he was just following orders. He didn't even know who the target was. Boris agrees. A greenhorn like him couldn't have planned this. And that's exactly why it pisses him off even more. The man charges. Boris sidesteps effortlessly, already disappointed. He knew the guy was inexperienced, but this is worse than expected. He drives a punch into the man's stomach. The man collapses, gasping. As he lies there, the scene flashes to the past. Sergei once mocked Boris lightly, calling him pathetic for suggesting retirement, asking if he really looked that old. Boris had answered seriously. Sergei said he wanted rest, and besides, Boris finally got what he wanted. He can protect everything else, that's his job, but some things can't be locked in a vault. Sergei had laughed back then, saying Boris was getting better at jokes. Still, should he really do as Boris suggested? The present crashes back in. Boris grabs an empty cup and smashes it against the bandaged man's head. He hauls him up by the hoodie and snaps his arm. The man screams, begging for his life, calling for help. Boris calmly grabs a napkin and presses it over the man's mouth. He reminds him, he already said it. He knows the man didn't plan this. Then Boris pulls out a knife. There has to be someone behind it, someone pulling the strings. And as for who that is, he'll take his time listening. Boris presses the blade near the man's head, voice low and deliberate. So take your time remembering, because this won't end quickly. A naked man is tied to a chair, helpless and exposed. The room is quiet until Boris' voice cuts through it. He studies the tattoos covering the man's body like a disappointed artist reviewing a failed masterpiece. Then he points out what's missing. The shoulders, the knees. Boris steps forward, a drill whirring to life in his hand. He explains calmly, too calmly, that tattoos on the knees mean you never kneel. Stars on the shoulders mean rank, respect, authority, the kind of marks earned in blood. This man left those spaces blank. He was waiting, dreaming of becoming a Vora, a crown thief in the criminal world. Boris places a hand on his shoulder, almost gently. Then his eyes harden. No organization gives tattoos to someone who spends his life on his knees. The drill presses into the man's knee. It starts. The scream never comes. Duct tape seals it in. Boris stops suddenly, rips the tape off. The man collapses into desperate pleading. It was just an errand. He didn't know anything. The one who hired him is already dead. Boris doesn't blink. Then you have nothing left to say. The drill rises again. Wait. The man blurts it out, panic cracking his voice. He saw something. Flashback. He was lying on the ground during the raid. Turned his head. One of them had a tattoo on the back of his hand. A knife. Back to the present. Boris listens. Processes instantly. A tattoo on the back of the hand is for show. A knife means murder. There are plenty of men like that. Description, masks, suits, nothing useful. Boris lowers the man's head back with controlled finality. Understood. He'll find the rest himself. Then he places the saw against the man's neck. You too have something left to do, right? No more pleading now. Just inevitability. Cut to Dom Volka, the mansion of Bratva Volkov. A heavy room. Important men. Tension thick as smoke. A voice calls it regrettable. The big boss end up like that. Then a complaint. We're introduced to Oleg Yasin, head of Sklad, a sub-organization under Bratva Volkov. He's not happy. The counselor asks what exactly went too far. Oleg answers with venom. The Ovcharka, the big boss's dog, a guard dog that used to protect the safe, is now biting its own masters. He showed up hunting men with knife tattoos on the backs of their hands. When they protested, he destroyed their operations without hesitation. And then he said it. The Bahan's blood has been spilled, so prove yours with blood. Show me the color of your blood. Are you brothers or rats? Now everyone must prove their loyalty. The counselor repeats quietly, a knife tattoo on the back of the hand. Oleg clenches his teeth. That damn bastard. The purge has started. Sunlight cuts across the office window as the counselor sits in silence. His gaze drifts, then stops. On the back of Oleg Yasin's hand. A knife tattoo. He calmly acknowledges Yasin's complaints, but says there's something that must be corrected first. The Ovcharka is not a dog. Yasin brushes it off as metaphor, insisting Boris has overstepped his authority. The counselor interrupts him sharply. Yasin, don't interrupt me. The air tightens. We're properly introduced to Viktor Mikhailov, Sovetnik of Bratva Volkov. His authority doesn't need volume. It radiates in restraint. He continues. People call the Ovcharka the dog guarding the Bahan's safe. But the Bahan would never entrust his safe to a mere dog. He is a wolf who knows the scent of blood, a wolf who will chase it to the end. And when he finds the traitor's vein, he will sink his fangs in. Yasin listens, and for the first time, that tattoo on his hand feels heavier than ink. Inside a car, Yasin explodes in frustration, cursing, raging, trying to convince himself he isn't afraid. You think I'd be scared? He grabs his phone and makes the call. Cut to Boris receiving it. Yasin reports that he has gathered the men on their side, the ones with knife tattoos. Tonight at 11, he'll send the location. Everything sounds cooperative, too cooperative. Boris glances down at his boss's hand, then quietly closes a door. Decision made. Private room. Yasin sits across from Boris, playing the loyal subordinate. He tells Boris to leave early. He'll handle everything. Eat something. Relax. Then the door opens. Men walk in. It's them, Yasin says casually, the ones with knife tattoos. And then, myself included. He admits it outright. Yes, they have knife tattoos. Yes, they could look suspicious, but they have solid alibis. They were here that day, playing cards. He even gestures toward a CCTV camera. Everything should be recorded. Boris studies it. That camera looks off. Yasin smiles faintly. That's because we turned it off today. No need to leave a record of our meeting. Then Yasin leans in slightly. When it comes to Sergei, Boris should think carefully. They can't let a powerless wolf lead, right? Boris smiles, not amused, predatory. Yasin lights a cigar, trying to mask the tension. Don't look at me so scary. I'm just saying we might need a new leader. He exhales smoke. If the leader can't hold the leash, that bastard is making a mess of the house. The room is full of men with knife tattoos, and only one wolf among them. Then something shifts. In the reflection of a wine bottle, Boris catches it. A man behind him, chain wrapped around his hand, about to strike. The chain flies. But Boris is faster. A fork flashes upward straight into the attacker's neck. In the same motion, Boris grabs his shirt and slams him onto the table. Boris forces the man's head down and speaks evenly, like he's explaining table manners. When a wolf sits at the table, he presses harder. It's only because meat has been served. Then he slices the man's mouth open. The scream rips through the room. The others freeze. Shock. Fear. Reality settling in all at once. Boris finally looks at Yasin. Oh well, I hadn't even asked anything yet. A slight tilt of his head. I guess it wasn't this guy. Yasin explodes. What the fuck are you doing? Get him. Chairs scrape back. Weapons come out. The room transforms from meeting to battlefield in a heartbeat. Boris doesn't move from his spot, points at them. Not shaking, not hesitating, just a simple gesture. Come. The message is clear. They thought they set a trap, but the wolf knew the moment he smelled blood. At Dom Volka, the mansion of Bratva Volkov, the counselor stands before a massive window. The city stretched beneath him. His eyes drift to a photograph on the desk. He picks it up. A knock interrupts the silence. The hospital called, a subordinate reports. The counselor frowns. Wasn't Sergei already dealt with? Not Sergei, his daughter. She's regained consciousness, but the hospital needs a legal guardian. And as her registered godfather, that responsibility falls to him. If you're busy, I can. No, the counselor cuts in gently. Let's go at once. For the first time, his urgency isn't political, it's personal. Back at the restaurant, the ambush begins. Two men charge Boris. One swings a wine bottle. Boris grabs his shirt and headbutts him without hesitation. His eyes shift instantly to the second attacker. A knife slashes toward him, misses, sticks into the table. Boris smashes the attacker's hand, rips the knife free. He glances at it. Isn't a table knife a bit crude for this? Then he drives it into the man's chest and drags it downward in a brutal carve. For tough meat, I suppose, it serves the same purpose. Cold, surgical, efficient. Two more rush him from behind. A hammer swings. Boris blocks with the knife and retreats into the kitchen. Big mistake. He grabs a kitchen hammer and strikes first, crushing one attacker's head. The man collapses. Boris pours boiling water over him without a flicker of emotion. Yasin watches, frozen. He shoves his last subordinate forward. Don't lose your nerve. Get in there. What am I supposed to do against something like that? He's right in front of you, idiot. Boris flips a heavy kitchen table. Yasin barely dodges. The last subordinate gets pinned between wall and steel. Hammer rises. From a distance, Yasin realizes it fully. He is a wolf. The counselor's earlier words echo like prophecy. A wolf that knows the smell of blood. A wolf that will chase it to the end. A wolf searching for the traitor's vein. Don't come any closer, Yasin shouts. But inside, his fear mutates. He's not a wolf. He's a demon. What kind of wolf has a face like that? At Noah Medical Center, the tone shifts completely. The doctor informs the counselor there are no physical injuries, but the child cannot speak. Shock. Psychological trauma. After what she witnessed happen to her parents, her mind has shut down. The counselor processes this quietly. There is no legal guardian to authorize treatment. I am her godfather, he says firmly. Regardless of cost, I will take full responsibility. Then he asks for a moment alone. He approaches the hospital bed. Sophia, do you remember this old man? His voice softens in a way we've never heard before. You must have seen me with your father many times. He remembers the day she was born, the day Sergei cried for the first time, happier than when he became the big boss of Russia. And back then, the counselor understood something. To Sergei, she was more precious than anything in the world. The hospital room falls silent. The camera lingers on the counselor's hand, resting gently near Sophia. Then, her eyes shift downward. Horror floods her face. Cut to Yasin, sprawled on the restaurant floor, drowning in his own blood. He laps weakly through it, looking for the man with the tattoo on his hand. He coughs. Go ahead, spend your whole life searching, you fool. His smile widens, bloody and bitter. It's right under your nose, and you can't see it. Then the final twist. If it's a knife tattoo you want, that man has one too. A breath. That damn old man who was always right by your side. Back to the hospital. The counselor continues speaking softly to Sophia, as if nothing is wrong. Yes, the day you were born. He says Sergei found something more important than the organization, more important than power, more important than rank. And, as he speaks, we see it on the back of his hand, a knife tattoo. Sophia's breathing becomes uneven. Her eyes tremble. Then she screams, raw, terrified. The counselor doesn't flinch. Seeing your reaction, it's just as I suspected. His voice remains calm. You really did see me that day, didn't you? Flashback. Inside a car, young Sophia turns her head. A man beside her, a familiar old man, on the back of his hand, a knife tattoo. Back to the present, his voice darkens. I was quite surprised when I heard you regain consciousness. The room feels colder. But since you can't speak, a faint smile forms. It seems luck is still on my side. The wolf chased the traitor, and the only witness is a child who cannot speak.